everybody, it's me again. So I figured I'd do another walk and talk with y'all and maybe bring up some things. As y'all have seen, probably first two videos, we were already through the IUI process last Saturday. And so now we are in the 2-week wait and trying to see if we in fact are pregnant. So what to talk about tonight? I am thinking that we will talk about the biggest question that I get, which is about sperm. And so, how it is that we came to the determination that we need sperm. We'll start there. We, in our relationship, could not do things the old fashioned way. It's not a viable option for us to use Trent sperm. If you're close to us, and you might have already known, but Trent is a cancer survivor. Most recently, he had prostate cancer. It's been nearly 5 years remission now, I would say. And so at that time, we were actually counseled by a medical team that told us that there would be no chance of using him for sperm in the future. And we had very limited time to try to prepare anything else because he was to undergo radiation treatment. And that was all successful. So with that, we knew that we would have to go with an alternative route if trying to conceive. So we did so by Googling, of course, and trying to find out what options we had. It led me to a Google search that produced different sperm banks here domestically in the US. And one of them in particular is a very widely known sperm bank that I chose to go through. And they have gosh, I don't even know, guys. Just on my search alone, there was like over 400 different donors to look through. And when you can look into all different kinds of characteristics and qualities that you're looking for. It's a very daunting task to have to figure out how to process things because ultimately, I think anybody would not really care too much about that. At least I didn't. I just want a healthy baby, so it's really hard to pick and choose characteristics and things like that, but you kind of have to, or else if you're like me, it becomes very overwhelming. And so one of the first things that I kind of mentioned before is that I am the only one in my family with my color of very blue eyes. And it's something that I would love to pass on to a child. And so by selecting a donor that also had blue eyes, then I have like a 99% chance that my child will have blue eyes. Not necessarily my shade of blue, but it could happen. So that was one of the first things that helped me eliminate some of the candidates. Walking, of course, so you'll hear me pause from time to time. Other things that go into it, you are going to look on there to see if these candidates are a carrier of any certain gene or trait. And that information, along with my own genetic testing that I had done, kind of really gives you a breakdown on who you can and cannot select. So I opted to have genetic testing done, and with that, they just take a vial of blood and send it off to a private company. It is paid for separately for genetic testing, and it is suggested that you have it done annually. And they test over like 800 different genetics. And basically, if I am a carrier of anything, then I would want to make sure that my donor was not a carrier of that same thing. Otherwise, it's almost guaranteed that the child will have that. And so that's a very important part. You'll have to bear with me today. my my train of thought is kind of all over the place. So another thing is that you need to know if you are CMV positive or CMV negative. If you are CMV negative, then you have to pick a donor that is also CMV negative. If you are CMV positive, you can pick a donor that's either positive or negative. But that's a very important part as well. So through my labs, I was able to find out which one I was. Other things would just be characteristics in general that are on there. So you can select like ethnicity, race. You can select hair color, eye color, beard color, weight, height, physical form. Other things that might be on there too is like, do you want an ID release? And so an ID release is saying that when the child is born, you can certify their birth through the agency and receive a certificate of authenticity so that when the child reaches the age of 18 or older, they could choose to learn the identification of the donor. And of course, it does seem that the price goes up for those that are willing to release their information. And it's something that weighed heavily on me too, was trying to think if that's something that was necessary in our situation. So that's one thing to consider as well. Other things to consider would be, well, quantity. So for different procedures, it depends on what style of specimen you receive and whether you are doing a home insemination, one in a clinic, if you're going through an IVF or something like that. There's different ways that they process the specimen. And for mine, with an IUI, they literally say IUI ready sperm. And so it'll be prepared for that process. And they call it washed whenever they process it. And it's just meaning that a lab has gone through and picked out the best of the best and stored those properly. So that's another thing to think of. In my situation, you would have to talk with your doctor. This is just my situation. But I had to have what they call a MOT 10, M-O-T, MOT 10. And what that means is that it had to have 10 million mobile sperm per procedure. And that reflects upon the cost as well, is what your MOT level is. And you can generally buy these in MOT 5, MOT 10, MOT 20, MOT 30. And the price jumps up, of course, the higher the quantity. Just to give you guys like a price range, I would say that it's between $600 to $1,800 per quantity and level that you're needing. And so it is not, however, as pricey as some alternatives that I looked into. And I know it sounds so silly, but also you can sometimes get discounts for things. So they might be running a special on a certain amount of quantity that you're purchasing, or they might be running a special on a certain donor or donors for the month. So there are little discounts that you can also find. And so it's important to know how much you want to purchase and of what kind. I would tell you too that it's also important to think of how many you can afford to purchase up front, because the shipping and handling fees of the donor sperm is one of the most expensive parts, and insurance does not cover it. So we opted, in my circumstance, to do 3 attempts and purchased those up front. And so we had to pay shipping from the sperm bank to the hospital or clinic where I was to receive the IUI. And then the hospital themselves, they charge you to receive it, and they also charge you a storage fee. And it'll be an annual storage fee. It's kind of busy tonight. I'm also walking a bit earlier, as you could tell before. I usually walk after dark, but it's nice and cool today. I also feel like I'm kind of congested, so I don't know if y'all are hearing that. So I'm kind of having some difficulty with it, but I'm just fine. Just weather's gotten cold and Kansas winds have been blowing today, so my sinuses are acting up a little. Basically what we did is take those 400 and some potential candidates, and I was able to get it down, and I went through all of them. Trust me, I went through all of them and got it down to 4 potential candidates that Trent and I were able to sit down with and determine who we felt like was the best fit. In those profiles too, you'll have additional things such as you can see their handwriting, you can see their baby pictures. Sometimes you have to pay for it. Usually you might be able to see an adult photo. You will see their family medical history as well as their personal medical history. They write a narrative, so you can see their handwriting, and you will listen to them read that narrative as well, so you can hear their voice. It'll tell you sometimes on different ones, will tell you like what the staff thinks a celebrity lookalike is for them, and so you can kind of judge what they look like as an adult. What else do you guys need to know right now? It's kind of an interesting thing to talk about, you know. I tease all the time where I'm like, you know, if you ladies are bored and want something to do on a Friday night with a glass of wine, go on to those sperm bank websites and look through profiles. If you're like me, you can download an app where you can merge your picture and the supposed like celebrity lookalike to see what your babies might look like. And I have those. I saved them to my phone. But that would be a great girls' night, you know, have some laughs, daydream a little bit, and see what your potential children would look like if you were to go that route. Anyhow, I think that's pretty much what you all would need to know. So I have used 1 attempt. I have 2 remaining at this point. And we had always said with my team that we were going to attempt 3 times, and without any success, then we would regroup and come up with an idea on how we would proceed. But I feel pretty good about it. I know it's crazy and it's way early, but Trent was asking me just yesterday on Sunday, the day after my IUI procedure, he was asking me if I felt pregnant. And I was telling him it's weird, but yeah, I feel a difference. I don't just feel like any other ovulation. I feel like maybe something's happened. And as far as my mindset, still optimistic. I had a hard time sleeping Saturday night. I definitely got a little bit of panic and like, what I just do? This is so crazy. Who would have thought I would be doing this? I think that's only natural. I think I would be more worried if I didn't have a second where I thought like that. So that's where we are today, guys. I am returning home here shortly, so I'm going to get off of here. But of course, thanks for watching and tuning in. Bye.